Thank you for tuning in to Buffalo Means Business on News Radio 930 WBEN. I'm Randy Bushover. The program highlights local businesses and services in the region, and if there's a local business or service you'd like to hear from, you can send me an email at randy.bushover@wben.com. And something a little different for this segment, we have Cindy Mannino joining us to talk about the Anthony V. Mannino Foundation and a big charity event that they have coming up. And I know that in some ways this is probably a little difficult still to talk about, but explain who Anthony was, aside from the fact that obviously he was your son, for those who don't know.
Anthony was obviously my son, and he was diagnosed at 19 with stage 4 esophageal cancer, and after a 22-month fight, he lost his battle with cancer. During his treatment, one of the things Anthony said to me was, "Mom, I'm only 19, I haven't made my mark in the world," and I knew what he meant. And he was the type of young man that would give the shirt off of his back to anybody that needed it. So I knew that all the gaps that he experienced himself, being a young adult in that very difficult age group, he would want to make better without any doubt for his peers.
And something that, as a result of his passing, you decided to create this foundation. What was sort of the idea behind it? Kind of to keep his name out there, his memory?
Well, I think it was twofold. To keep his legacy alive, let people know that he existed, and to help his peers. The medical community often talks about the young adults between 18 and 28, and they're often called tweeners because they're not pediatric and they're not geriatric, so they fall in a hole. And we experienced it personally. He experienced those gaps personally, and I know he would want those to be filled, to make it easier for his young adult friends or anybody else that might be battling cancer to not have to go through some of those gaps that he went through.
So specifically then the foundation works along with or helps those in that age group while they're undergoing cancer treatment, is that right?
Right. The mission of the foundation is to financially help and support young adults between 18 and 28 while they're battling cancer, and that can be anything from co-pays, fertility banking, gas vouchers, spiritual, emotional, whatever they need. Not all young adults want to talk about their cancer, but those that do have my ear and have the ear of the foundation. And we're here for that as well. But yes, the gist of it is to help them while they're going through it and whatever needs that they have. And we'd like to, down the line, create support systems for them, which are lacking for that age group.
Sure. Before we continue talking a little bit more about the foundation itself and the mission, let's talk about the event that's coming up. It's coming up in a couple of weekends from this taping. It's going to be Saturday, September the 30th from 6 till 10 p.m. Whereabouts? It's
at the beautiful Curtis Hotel downtown. It's being sponsored by Rich Products, and it's from 6 to 10. The theme of it is Crushing Cancer Under the Stars, and it's on the beautiful rooftop of the Curtis Hotel.
And that has special significance, that the naming of it that way?
Yes. That's what we'd like to do, is crush cancer.
Right. And a lot of amenities with this, too, from what I understand. Food stations, open bar, music, silent auctions throughout the course of the evening.
Yes.
And what is also a benefit is you have some free parking down there, too,
yes.
which is a very good benefit.
Yes.
What about tickets?
You can get tickets by logging on to my son's website, which is www.avmfoundation.com, or you can call 716-310-4869.
And again, this is for the Anthony V. Mannino Foundation, this charity event coming up Saturday, September the 30th. And as you heard, Anthony V. Mannino, MANNINO.com. Or you can call a number for tickets, right? 310-4869, is that correct?
Correct.
You mind if I ask? Because I don't know, so I'm kind of going into this a little bit blind. Any other kids in the family?
Yes, we have a daughter, an older daughter. Anthony had an older sister, 3 grandchildren.
I would imagine that kind of made it even more difficult, right? Because then he would have been the only son, is that right?
Yes, he was our only son, yes.
And this was how many years ago?
Anthony passed March 8th, 2009, so it will be 9 years.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. I don't have exactly the same experience, but I had a good friend of mine who died in his 50s from liver cancer, so that one is just about a year and a half removed from having happened, and it doesn't make it any easier, really, with the time passing by, and then especially with the family connection, it's got to be even more significant for you.
It is. It is. It's not an easy journey for anybody going through it, but you have to hang in there and fight. And I think the foundation, for me personally and my family, builds us up because we know he would want this, without any doubt.
Yeah, and I was going to say that probably strengthens the family that you have remaining to keep you guys even more together than you already were, necessarily.
Yeah.
What kind of a kid was he? Very active?
Oh my gosh. Anthony jogged every day. He had 2 black belts in Taekwondo. He believed in eating right. He believed in the spiritual body health connection. He was not the typical young adult that you think is out partying, and he had his friends and he enjoyed life, but he believed so much in the Asian philosophy. He was really big into that and into Taekwondo. He, like I said, he was healthy as a horse.
Until he was afflicted with the cancer.
Right, and that came out of the blue.
Right. Now, as part of the foundation, this has been a number of years, I would imagine, going. So do you have a rough idea how many people you've helped? Or how much, just a rough idea how much money maybe has been raised for the foundation, through the foundation?
I don't have an exact amount, but I know that I can say we've helped over 25 to 30 young adults in different ways. Unfortunately, some of that help has also been burial costs for those that didn't make it. I guess if I had to stress something about this age group, it's that their age brings very age-specific needs, not to take away from pediatric or geriatric, not in any way, but that age group has specific needs that just are not being met, such as fertility banking, such as insurance is a huge thing, because when they get diagnosed, they're either working full-time and can't work because they're too sick, therefore then they lose their insurance. Not all of them are always covered under their parents' insurance. So their needs are different. Not to take away from anybody else's, but they are very age-specific related to how old they are. Some of them are young, with just starting out, married, with little kids. So we try to help in whatever way they need the help. The best way to say it is their needs are as different as their cancers are.
And I noticed, too, that you have some rooms as a tribute to Anthony, both at ECMC and Millard Fillmore Suburban, correct?
Yes, we are very blessed to have. Kaleida Health has been a wonderful supporter of ours, and we have the Anthony V. Mannino room for young adults at Millard Fillmore Suburban, where a young adult, if they acquire, and which happens all the time, most times I should say, secondary infections, instead of going to a hospital room, they can go to this room and they don't feel like they're in a hospital. And the success has been great. The feedback has been great. The ECMC is called the Anthony V. Mannino Comfort Room, which is more of a waiting room so that families can come together and talk, or the patient can just get away from, the speckled floors and the speckled walls and that hospital feeling. And again, they're both decorated in that Asian, very calming scenery.
And as you had mentioned just before we brought this part up, that was one of the things that you found out when you went through the experience that you did with your son, things like the insurance issues, and then rooms like this for comfort, and just to kind of give some people a place to be other than sitting in the room staring at the walls, counting ceiling tiles kind of thing.
Exactly, yes.
And again, the event is coming up September 30th. Is there anything else that we haven't covered before we mention the details of this Crushing Cancer Under the Stars event coming up Saturday, September 30th, again, 6 to 10 p.m., that stands out that you really wanted to get out there about either the foundation, your son, or the efforts that you're forwarding?
What I'd really like to get out there is I hope everybody can join us that night. It's going to be an incredible night at a beautiful hotel. But the purpose of that night is to come together for our young adults in that age group to remember Anthony and to let them know we haven't forgotten about them, that we're working to make things better for them, put them on the map, make a difference. we need to make a difference for these young adults. They need to be recognized, and I hope people can join us for that. I hope I can say this, but we have a young adult who the foundation has helped who's going to be speaking that night, and I always say that I can tell my personal story, but nobody can tell it better than this young adult that's going to be there. So I hope everybody can join us. It'll be a wonderful night with a wonderful purpose.
Indeed. And again, this is the Crushing Cancer Under the Stars event, Saturday, September 30th, 6 till 10 p.m. It's at the Curtis Hotel with free parking, by the way, right there downtown Buffalo. And it's on the rooftop, as a matter of fact. So you are literally under the stars there.
Mm-hmm.
Food stations, open bar, music, silent auctions. And again, the tickets are $100 for a single ticket, $175 for two. And you can get them at the AnthonyVMannino.com site online, Anthony V. Mannino, Mannino, or you can call 310-4869, 310-4869. And we've been speaking here with Cindy Mannino, who is the mother of Anthony Mannino, and very much at the forefront of putting together this foundation in his name. So certainly looking forward to the event and hope things go well for you. I'm sure they will.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
And this is Buffalo Means Business on News Radio 930 WBEN.